Welcome to the Damn Good Dogcast. This is your host, Robert Reynolds. What a lot of news today, good and bad, mostly bad, but it is what it is. Let's just put it that way. First off, over the weekend, let's start with the good news, right? NFL draft. 9 guys get drafted, sets the school record or Kirby Smart sets the school record. This whole Kirby can't develop mantra makes no sense to me. It makes none to me, honestly. Doing less with more, I don't want to hear that either. That's just a bunch of BS to me. That's just my take on that. Other than that, though, obviously another recruiting news, 2022, Denylon Morissette announces his commitment, which moving over to the, I guess, bad news, lose a commitment. Donovan Westmoreland goes to South Carolina, flips over that way. And then Major Burns hits the portal. So, looking at the portal news, let's just be honest here. I think we're about to see a huge amount of this happening. So this is only the beginning, in my opinion. I think that's the way it's going to be. This basically what the NCAA has done has created a free agency with this one-time rule. So be prepared for more to come. So we will, honestly, we'll have to see what happens there. It's going to be interesting, obviously, because Major Burns was our one of our guys in our secondary. Obviously, right now we're kind of depleted, with experience. So, obviously that stings a lot. But at the end of the day, I think, Kirby's going to have these guys ready to go, or they're going to have to be ready to go, let's just say. With that, obviously you're going to have to deal with it. And honestly, the portal can take away, but also the portal can giveth, right? Look at Tyke Smith as just as an example. Looking into it, I think I would expect Kirby to hit the portal again. We've got a couple spots open right now. I think, if with the news of Major going into the portal, I think that should open up a spot. So if that does, then you can pull another guy from the portal, right? I think you have to, or you just stack up DBs in the 2022 class. I'm telling you, 2022 cycle, and I guarantee the 2023 cycle are about to be absolutely stacked with DB talent. No question about it. That's just the way it's going to be. You take, who we've got already with Marquise Groves Killebrew, just all the current commits we have. And honestly, you're looking at Keon Sabb, Kamari Wilson, possibly, right? You've got Malachi Starks in the fold right now. So much Deion Smoke Bowie, so much talent already committed to Georgia. That's only going to be more deep as the recruitment cycle comes on. I think that's got to be the case, and I think Kirby knows it, and I think that's what's going to happen. So expect this to be the beginning of the. I wouldn't say the beginning of the end. It's going to be the beginning of something bigger, and I don't think it's just Georgia. I think it's NCAA wide. I think you've literally set up the example that if you don't play, you move on. That's just the way that's going to be. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Guys, buckle up. There's a lot of shit going on, and it's about to be intense. Looking into the 2022 cycle as well, let's be honest here too. Expect some decommits everywhere. I think everywhere is going to happen. Looking into this 2022 cycle, these kids never really got to be on campus. June 1st, obviously the commits are allowed to go visit these campuses. Georgia already has a loaded lineup from the 4th to the 6th of June, that first weekend. Absolutely stacked, basically coming to Athens. And obviously that's the way it's going to have to be. So definitely worth keeping an eye out there. It's just going to be so much going on. It's just a lot. Nothing bad, but just saying, get ready, buckle up, because recruiting is about to take a very wild ride, and really the portal will as well. Looking into it though, let's kind of stop from the recruiting standpoint right now for the most part, and let's focus on the recap of the draft. Obviously, like I said, 9 guys get drafted, which like I said is a record for the school. Like I said, I don't understand this Kirby can't develop bullshit. I really can't. I really don't, because our first round pick, right? Our one first rounder, Eric Stokes. Yes, he came in as an athlete, didn't really play much DB, and he got drafted to the Packers in the 29th pick. So I think he was a 3-star, man. That just tells you that's development right there in itself. Right there in itself. It just shows you that Kirby can develop. So anybody that wants to believe this, let me know. We'll come. I want somebody to talk to me about that and understand. I want to listen to why somebody thinks that Kirby can't develop. Because just think, if we had 9 guys this year got drafted, just imagine what next year is going to be. That's just my logic. I mean, right as it stands right now, I expect more guys to be drafted next year in 2022 than this year. And he set a record as it is now. So the whole Kirby can't develop thing just doesn't sit well with me. I don't believe it. I think it's, I just think it's a bunch of bullshit, really. But obviously, like I said, you look at, you had Stokes going in to the Packers at 29, and then literally day 2, the first pick, Tyson Campbell goes to the Jaguars. So, I mean, obviously it is technically a day 2 pick. It's a round 2 pick. But damn, it's basically that's basically your round 1, another round 1 technicality. I get it. But still, very, very, very high, highest second round pick there is. Boom, there you go. You have 6 guys get taken right on day 2. So you got, you're looking at, Monty Rice going to. Oh no, actually, sorry, we'll go in order. So you had day 1. Obviously, we know Stokes going to the Packers. Then you have Tyson Campbell to the Jaguars, Aziz to the Giants. Then you go Monty Rice to the Titans. Big Ben to the Ravens. I'm telling you right now, that is the best place for him to develop. I'm absolutely in love with where he went in that pick. It was a perfect spot for him, in my opinion. And then you have Trey McKitty, right? Trey McKitty goes to the Chargers. Then you look at Richie, right? King LeCount going to the Browns. Mark Webb goes to the Chargers, right? 9 picks get drafted. And then you obviously have a couple undrafted. Malik going to the Chiefs, actually. And DJ Daniel to the Jaguars going there with Tyson Campbell. So very good draft. Very good draft for Georgia. So this whole, like I said, going back to this, I've seen it all weekend. Now, it's not just necessarily Georgia fans. It's just in general. I genuinely just find that funny. Outside of Bama and Ohio State, Georgia is second in that regard with most draft picks for a school. If that's not development, I don't know what the hell it is. Just in my opinion, I don't know what else it is. I don't know what to tell you. I genuinely don't. So, looking into it that way, I find there no argument with the development. And just wait, because we know that 2022 it's going to be even more loaded. It's just going to be. I think that's what's going to happen. I genuinely do. Hell, just think about it. Jordan Davis basically gave up millions of dollars. I think with the defensive tackle class this year being so, it was, in my opinion, shit. It was not deep at all. Had he went, he's probably the first defensive tackle off the board. But he decides to come back, and Devontae White decides to come back. So definitely interesting to see why these guys come back. I'm not knocking it by any means. Not going to knock it whatsoever. Period. Right? Whatsoever. Glad to have these guys back. I think you have a good year. If we have a good year, Jordan Davis, Devontae White, they have good years. I think if you have Zeus and James Cook having a good year, obviously they made the choice to come back. I want to see us have a great year. And honestly, push for what Bama just did, right? Six first-round picks. 6. That's impressive. There's no question about it. So I want to see Georgia get to that level, and I think Georgia can. So definitely something to worth keeping an eye out for moving forward. But like I said, 2021 draft was a huge success. Day one, sure, we thought, Aziz would go. So that was kind of slightly disappointing there. But, other than that, maybe people thought that Tyson would go first round. I didn't necessarily believe that Stokes would, which would kind of surprise me, but I was not going to be mad. I was very excited. I think, looking at Green Bay with what I saw in the NFC Championship game, their cornerbacks just got roasted. So, you add Stokes where he's kind of raw, but he's got so much athleticism. He can recover. You can teach those things. He's got good ball skills. I like his ball skills. He finds his way to the ball. Stuff like that's why he got drafted in the first round. And Tyson Campbell, right there, 33rd pick, same thing, right? Great ball skills. The entire secondary, four DBs gets drafted. All four of them get drafted. Tie in the 04 Hurricanes. That right there is huge because the 04 Hurricanes was loaded. They were loaded with NFL talent. It was insane. If anybody remembers, that's huge. And honestly, who knows? It could get better. Really, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it might. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but it may. Right? Depends on who leaves. So and let's be honest here. You have 9 guys go to the NFL, like straight drafted. That helps recruits. It definitely helps recruits. But obviously, this is why recruiting is so important. You don't look at stars. Stars don't mean shit. They really don't. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Stars do not mean a damn thing. Developing does. And just the whole mantra of Kirby not developing, it's just hogwash. It really is. It really is. After this break, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk Denylon Morissette and talk some 2022 recruiting. So stick around after this short break.
Ever since I started podcasting, I've used Buzzsprout, and let me tell you this, you cannot go wrong with Buzzsprout. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. One of the hardest things about creating and starting your own podcast is not knowing what to do. Buzzsprout, it's super easy. They will help you out in regards to what to do. Buzzsprout will get your show listed in every major podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. And Buzzsprout is the best partner you can imagine. You'll get a great looking podcast website, audio players you can drop into your other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, and other tools to promote your episodes. And there's a lot more than just that. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get your message out to the world. Follow the link in the show notes and let Buzzsprout know that we sent you. Get you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for the paid plan, and it helps support our show.
Welcome back. Here we are talking 2022 recruiting. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we lose, but we also give it. Actually, we picked up Denylon Morissette. Obviously, we lose Donovan Westmoreland today, the 3-star linebacker out of Georgia. But with Denylon, right? That's our first receiver. First receiver for the cycle. First of many, in my opinion, considering what's probably going to be going out of the door in 2022. Looking at it, I think that's the start of a big trend, really. I think you look at guys like Kojo Antwi and, Evan Stewart out of Texas. Those are just 2 guys, just 2 that I think are really, in my opinion, I think they'll fall to Georgia. Obviously, these visits are going to be key. There's no question about it that the visits are going to be key. Getting these guys on campus for the first time. Forget what you hear about the Zoom calls. These guys are going to be in here, and obviously with the facility opening up, big news right there. That's a great way to start off the recruiting. Getting these guys on campus with brand new facility. So I think that's going to help. Obviously everybody knows it's the arms race, right? You look at facilities and stuff like that, which only is going to help your recruiting. So, looking into that, you couldn't have timed it out better. And, and the good thing is with Josh Brooks now as our AD, I think he understands and he's willing to do what, he's just going to spend money. And Kirby, I think Kirby knows that, and Josh Brooks knows that, because that's what it's taken to win. There's no question about it. You look at Clemson, you look at your Texas, these world class facilities, world class. It brings in the best recruits. There's no question about it. But obviously, it's not just the facilities. That is a very big piece of it. But like I said, obviously get Denylon Morset, 4-star wide receiver. I think it's going to be a big pickup. It really will. Obviously, you got Gunnar Stockton's big, target there. Not lifelong, but been playing on the 7-on-7 circuit for a very long time together. So the chemistry's there, right? The chemistry is automatically there with those two guys in the fold. Obviously, you're looking at keeping these guys, committed. That's the hard part now. But obviously, I think now you have Gunnar, recruiting. I think you have some outspoken guys. Gross Killebrews is an example. Getting these guys out. Bear Alexander has spoken about trying to recruit Evan to come in from Texas. Obviously, got the Texas connection there. And obviously with Jalen Walker, right? You're looking at states outside of Georgia that the commits that we have in there have a big tie into some major recruits, right? Travis Shaw is an example. Jalen Walker commits, and then you see, obviously the pieces start falling in, right? You have Jalen Walker from Salisbury, Travis Shaw and Grimsley and Greensboro. About 30 minutes to an hour away, but still they're close enough, and two of the best talents in the state of North Carolina by far. One of the top few guys in North Carolina, and they've played well, and they have that friendship. So you get Jalen Walker in the fold, you start to look into that, and from within that, now you're looking at pieces falling together. Maybe Travis Shaw commits along the defensive line haul. That's already insane. It's already insane, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. So obviously you have these guys recruiting from out of state. And obviously, when it comes down to the commits and these recruits coming in for these official visits, that's huge, because you get guys like from out of state that can actually come in and not have to worry about spending their own money and stuff like that. That's a big deal, guys. That's a very, very big deal. So looking into that, I cannot wait to see what happens. But keep your expectations on an even level, right? Because obviously we're the top class right now, with 12 commits. But that can change. Obviously, it doesn't matter right now. So don't get this twisted. I'm not bragging that we're number one. I'm not. I watched Tennessee. I watched Florida do this shit last year, and then you saw where they finished up, right? We saw Tennessee fall significantly with all their 3-star commits. So, looking at it, obviously it's way too early to really get a feel for it. I do expect us to have a top 3 class, maybe even top 2. I think just with the guys that we're in the fold for, and I think will commit, it's going to be a huge cycle. Let's just be honest. I'm just saying. Just think of it. If we get Keon Sabb and Kamari Wilson in the secondary with Smoke and with Marquise Killebrew and all the other guys that we've got, you're talking about one of the most loaded classes you'll ever see in Georgia, at least for now. But then you have the 2023 class, which is just as loaded. So I'm going to read a couple comments here. Obviously, as you were seeing earlier, Robbie Thrower, sup big dog. Chad Buchanan, go Dogs. And then Sickman Switchell. He says he's late, but got to say I'm a little pissed with Major Burns right now, only because we're way thin in the secondary. My take on that is I'm not going to bash a kid for making a decision for his, for himself and for his family. I don't know the entirety of the story. my gut feeling has it's a family type thing. So I'm not going to bash a kid for that. I'm really not. I mean, it's just me. I can't bash a kid anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get it. You have the opportunity now. I mean, it stings Georgia for sure, because we are kind of, thin in the secondary. But that's just something that we've got to get used to. It really is. And that's something, like I said, buckle up because this is just the beginning. It really is. Chad also says, more importance of per recruit average. I'm assuming with the commits, honestly, Chad, looking at, like I said, earlier in the show, stars don't really mean shit to me. It looks good with your recruiting rankings and your class rankings and stuff. The real important part is getting these guys on the field and producing and developing and seeing what happened, right, with the 2021 draft. That's the ultimate goal. Because if you can do that, there's no question that these guys are going to come in. The recruits will come in. There's no question about it. So, obviously it does matter to an extent, but at the end of the day, look, Kirby's taken 3 stars and put him in the first round. J.R. Reed, Stokes. It's just 2 examples, right? You look at Jordan Davis, man. Jordan Davis has a very high chance of going in next year's draft in the first round, possibly. And he was a 3-star. So, you look at that right there, and then you have like Tay Crowder as an example. Tay Crowder comes in as a running back, gets switched over to linebacker. He gets drafted at Mr. Irrelevant, right? 7th round pick, but he actually makes a big impact. He makes a big impact on the Giants. So, that's the key for the development. It's not a matter of your star rankings and shit like that. Your development is it's literally just so much more important. And honestly, like I said, Kirby has shown me he can develop. Now, obviously, we're not winning national titles. I get it. I do. And with the rankings, people want to throw that out there. You have top 3, top 4 classes, right? But only one person can win the national title every year. So, there's 160 some schools trying to fight for it. And, not everybody's going to win it. I'm not making excuses that we should be. We should be in the contention. I think we should be making the playoffs more, honestly. We're not taking care of business. We're just not, and we need to. But these recruiting classes give you somewhat of a better shot to do that. I think you have to stay on par with that kind of recruiting, because if you don't, you're going to fall far. You're going to fall behind. You're going to fall far behind, and that's something that Georgia can't afford. They just can't. So, Chad also says, to me, what I feel I've seen, we do not do a good job of developing the player behind the 1s, 2s, and 3s are not where they should be compared to the other programs. I can't necessarily 100% disagree, because these guys, Georgia should be in a situation where, like Alabama, right? We saw what happened last year. Jalen Waddle goes down for most of the season. Devontae Smith steps up and becomes a Heisman, right? Now, obviously, he was playing a lot anyway, but, Mechie stepped up. Right. So you had these guys that literally took over and stepped up, and you didn't miss a beat. That was the key. They didn't miss a beat. You look at what happened when Jordan Davis was out. That defensive line, even with Jalen Carter, Trayvon Walker, all those guys, they weren't generating pressure like that. And I think, Chad, if I'm not mistaken, where you're going with that, that's kind of where you're wanting to see. You want to see those guys, the Jalen Carters, the Trayvon Walkers, create that much more of an impact, like you're not missing that beat, if I'm not mistaken. So, you're looking into that. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's what you're talking about. But it shows up, right? You see, Florida game and stuff like that where he's not playing, or, other games that he doesn't play. And where's the pass rush, right? There's no pressure in the middle. There's, and that's what happens when Jordan Davis is in there. You create that havoc. He takes up 2 blockers constantly, and you allow the linebackers in there, or you allow another guy off the edge to come in and come in with a little bit more passion and fire in there, a little bit easier in there. That's the kind of production that we need to see from Trayvon, and we need to see from Jalen Carter, and I think we're going to see that. I genuinely do, because we have a full offseason. That's the key there. Having a complete offseason, finally, for these guys that came in last year. Like I said, Carson Beck never had one. He never had, and we saw what happened at G-Day. I thought he looked very good. Jalen Carter, you get that offseason, he looked damn good. He looked really good. So you get these guys, you see what they're developing with when you actually have the offseason. You have your spring camp going into summer camp and then the fall camp, getting ready for the season. It's so vital for those guys to get those reps, especially right now, because really once you get the spring camp over with, at that point, outside of your competition battles, you're kind of just getting what reps you can. So obviously getting the most reps, is going to be key there. And honestly, Chad talks about it being across the board with DBs and O-line. And in all honesty, I look at it this way. I don't care what anybody says. Our D-line, I think, is set. Receivers, I think they can still have some competition, especially with Pickens being out. You kind of fighting for, jostling for position there. Guys coming back from injuries, in the receiving core there. But I'm telling you right now, the key for the summer camp and into the fall camp is what you just said, DBs and offensive line. Though you're going to see a continuous competition there. It's going to be a fucking fierce one. It really is. I think it has to be. And it all starts with September 4th. Every Georgia fan has it marked on their calendar. We know the importance of that game. It's a rivalry game. Sure, it's in Charlotte. It doesn't matter. It's Clemson. It's Clemson. You have to be ready for them. Your guys have to be experienced. You've got to be sound. There's no getting around it. We're about to see what our team is made of. Game 1. Obviously, there's a lot of games after that, right? The rest of the season falls in after that. But it's going to be a test. It's going to be a test. And it's going to see where we are. Obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement. I'm sure there will be. But if we can hold our own and we pull out a win, come on. That right there tells you, handle your business and we'll be in the fucking playoffs. No question about it. No question. Oh, yeah, and if you're curious, Chad also gave us a countdown, 124 days until we see the Tigers of Clemson in Charlotte. Thank you, Chad, for that countdown, sir. But we start with Clemson, and I think everything that goes on right now, and it's been going on since the end of the season. Everybody's had that on their calendar. Even people that aren't Georgia or aren't Clemson fans have that on their calendar. If you're not familiar with one of our recent episodes, Chris Phillips from the Spurs Up Show, one of the South Carolina guys, comes on. He's going to be watching it. He even said it himself. He can't wait to watch that game. That game's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. But let's make sure that we go out there and play a damn good football game. And that's where the competition is going to start. You started in the spring camps. I thought our offensive line looked fine. We started off struggled a little bit. I had a little G-Day recap, right? Other than that, though, as that spring game went on, they started to handle themselves better, and that's what I like to see. Because you're getting these guys reps and you're getting the chemistry built up. And that's why I liked Kirby's idea of staying the ones against the ones and the twos against the twos. And you didn't really see a lot of rotation. You didn't see a guy that was on the 2 squad coming in for the 1. It was literally the ones versus the ones and the twos versus the twos. That's the way that needs to be, because you get more out of a spring game. You see these guys coming in, and switching it up, and sure, it looks good, and the scores, it can be what it is, but that's not telling you shit about your team. It really isn't. So you have your ones against your ones. You see for the full entirety of the spring game what you're looking like. How are you handling yourself? Okay, you got your ass kicked in front. At the beginning, you were slow, just struggled a little bit. You got your ass kicked by Jordan Davis, Devontae White. About anybody is going to have that happen. But the adaptation to get better as the game went on. All right, second half, JT and company looked really damn good. Right, pull out ahead and ultimately win the game. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see these dog fights every single play. I wanted to see how guys reacted. I wanted to see how Tate Rowledge looked, right? Tate Rowledge coming in with the ones at right guard, right? Jordan Davis and Devontae kind of gave him fits. But at the end of the day, he also made some good plays. That's what you want to see. So we saw our guys get better right before our eyes. So I'm not knocking it. Chad says he's going to hang his hat on this. The entire season hinges on the offensive line. If they step up and handle their business, we can win it all. To your point, I think it's more than the offensive line. I think while your answer is correct, I think there's more to it. And I think we've been in this situation before. Even with the talent that we have right now, in my opinion, we're deeper at least on the offensive side of the ball, deeper than where we were when we went to the playoffs and in 2018, and when we went to the fifth spot ultimately after losing to Bama in the SEC championship game. I think we're better now than we were then. But that doesn't mean shit if these guys don't come out and they don't play hard every single fucking game. Come out. I know they got the chip on their shoulder, guys. Remember, all these guys came back, unfinished business. That right there was the motto for all these guys coming back. That right there told me they have a chip on their shoulder and they are more than ready to come out this year, bust some ass, get to the playoffs, win a national title. That's their goal. That told me exactly what I needed to see. But they got to get it done. They do. And this is, and like Chad said earlier, be ready. The twos, the threes, be ready. You have to step up and be ready because it's a long season. It really is. Not everybody's going to be fortunate to sit there and deal with no injuries, right? You're going to get beat up. You're more than likely going to get injured. And also, guys are going to get tired. You can't sit there and play Jordan Davis every single play. You can't do it. That's why we've got the depth built up. You sit there, you put them in the first couple downs, and then you move in Trayvon or Jalen Carter, slide out Adam and Nolan, do that right there on third down and bring the fucking house. Stuff like that. That's just the way I see it. It's going to happen. Our defense will be fine. And, obviously with the inexperience at the secondary, it's going to really rely on not only them getting ready in camp and getting ready throughout the season, but the front seven is going to help them out. I think that's going to happen. The front seven is going to help them out. And I cannot wait to see that. And obviously, it's going to be curious. I'm being in North Carolina. The actual news comes out that you're expected a full capacity for Charlotte September 4th. Huge news. I think we knew it was coming, just a matter of when. Basically, now that they're expecting that to happen, I guarantee you the game is about to be even more lit than anybody could think it would be. Because it's going to be wild. It really will. Bank of America gets loud. It does. And, Clemson's going to travel well. And Georgia will too. So it's going to be a fun game. It really, really will. That's really what I'm looking forward to. But obviously we talked about the draft. This will be our first experience of what these 2022 guys will, draftees, right? We'll get to see them and let them start their season off on a good note, right? Let that happen. You sit there, you play against Clemson, you do damn good. Jordan Davis sits there and shows why he's the best defensive tackle in the country. JT or, whoever's at receiver, JT starts balling out, right? Zeus runs for a score or two. James Cook maybe gets a touchdown pass. You name it. That's going to stick with these guys. And the NFL knows it. They know it. They know it. So it's going to be huge. It really will be a huge thing to keep up with September 4th. And recruits are going to keep up with it as well. We know this. We absolutely know this. But on that note, folks, we are going to wrap it up for the day. Obviously, we talked about the draft. Very successful overall. Glad to see that. I think the record is going to get broken in 2022. We shall see how that goes. I genuinely think that's going to happen. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Chad Buchanan thinks there's one coming down the pipe soon. We'll see. We shall see. So keep your eyes on that. Maybe on Commitment Watch. We'll see. Maybe, somebody from the portal. Don't know. We'll see what happens. But on that note, for today's episode, that is all. Go Dogs, and I will catch you on the flip side.